This is Cybertrash STATYX. And I hope I'm saying that right because it has a really weird spelling. But this is a linear 2D tactical action platformer where you'll take on the role of Jen, who is attempting to escape an evil corporation while also trying to remember her past. But before we get started with the full review, if you enjoy indie games, please consider clicking that subscribe button, as I cover a lot of different games on my channel, including lesser known titles that don't get much media coverage. Thanks for watching this review. Now let's get to it. One important thing I want to mention is that this game is not at all epilepsy friendly. So if camera jitters and flashing lights have a negative effect on your health, please exit this video and do not play this game. To start off, you'll be in one of the many flashback scenes where you'll play as Jen as a kid playing with her friend. There are a handful of these sequences, and although they add story context that's relatively important, from a gameplay perspective, they're pretty boring. Ah, perfect. That's exactly how I felt. After the opening kid scene, you'll get even more dialogue. Walk slowly around, play a brief tutorial, which teaches you the mobility aspects of the game, before finally getting into the meat and potatoes of the gameplay. Prior to your first taste of the combat, you'll have the option to choose between 3 different difficulty settings to match your expected skill level. I played through on normal, which was a nice challenge, but never to the point of me being frustrated. Over the course of the game, the story will unfold in its many flow-breaking dialogue sequences and kid flashback scenes that you'll be forced to play through. The basic premise of the story is that you are trying to escape from an evil corporation that kidnaps people and implants their brains with chips that wipe their memories. So while playing through, you'll attempt to both escape and recall your past, as your memories have been wiped. I honestly did enjoy the story here, but the way it was presented was very slow and broke up the action far too frequently. The combat is better described as tactical, as trying to just run straight through and fight like it's Contra will most likely result in your demise. Death returns you to your last save, which the game has some auto-saving checkpoints, and you can also manually save at upgrade stations. Eliminating enemies earns you XP, with skill points being awarded upon gaining levels that you can spend at the aforementioned stations to increase certain stats. You'll also acquire gems, which are the form of currency here, that can be used throughout the levels to do things like refill ammo, health, shield points, and probably the most important thing, which is to buy levels to earn skill points more quickly. You will always have a pea shooter at your disposal with infinite ammo, and there are several different light and heavy weapons you can pick up with a limited amount of ammo before the gun is disposed of. You can carry one of each weapon type, and picking up a light gun will take the place of your starting pea shooter until the light gun's ammo is fully expended. For mobility, you'll need to get comfortable with the Mega Man-esque ground slide. Not only will you need this to slide through small gaps, but it's your main way to dodge incoming projectiles. Jumping while sliding also serves as a high jump, which you will use a lot. There's some basic platforming here, but the bulk of the gameplay is the tactical combat. Learning enemy attacks and quickly adapting to your surroundings to pop in and out of cover to eliminate enemies while taking minimal damage will be absolutely pivotal to your success. Taking too much damage throughout a level can potentially cause some frustration later on, as you will start with the amount of health and shields you had when you activated a checkpoint if you die. So, if you reach a checkpoint with only 1 HP, that's exactly how much you'll start with every time you die. Let that be a fair warning if you decide to pick this game up. There are several boss fights throughout the game that will challenge you to learn their attack patterns in order to defeat them. You won't find any gun pickups, ammo, or healing during these fights, so often you'll find yourself finishing the bosses off with just your pea shooter. This results in the player needing adequate skill in order to emerge victorious in each. Cybertrash STATYX has some really nice pixel art and animations throughout, and couple that with some decent music and sound effects, which lands this experience pretty high on the scale from a presentation perspective. Overall, I enjoyed my time I spent playing through Cybertrash STATYX, but it wasn't without its fair share of faults. I found the ending to be really unsatisfying, and for a game that put such a heavy emphasis on story, so much so that they completely derailed the flow of the game with frequent dialogue scenes and memory sequences, it yielded an ending that was both abrupt and a cliffhanger. The sense of satisfaction for finishing this game is non-existent, with an unsatisfying ending and no unlocks or rewards of any kind. Other than that, it had a few weird design choices like checkpoints retaining your health, respawning at the start of a section instead of near where you fell off if you fall into a pit, and some others I previously mentioned. There were also a few bouts of slowdown when a lot was going on, and some awkward camera jitters at times. There's not really any extra content, so unless you want to play again on the highest difficulty, this will almost definitely be a one playthrough and done experience. The highlight of the game as a whole is the combat, with some satisfying weapons to use, impactful sound effects, decent variety of enemies and bosses to fight, nice pixel art and animations. It's a game that doesn't overstay its welcome, as it runs for the perfect amount of time, but it fails to stick the landing with the ending, and that was by far my biggest complaint. So with all that said, I award Cybertrash STATYX an average review score of 7.1 out of 10. Give it a play if it looked interesting to you, but be aware of its faults. They might just be enough to result in you leaving and never returning before you reach its conclusion. I appreciate you watching this review, and I hope you found it helpful. If you enjoyed it, please like the video, comment below if you have any questions, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And until next time, have a good one.